Since the dawn of time, man has struggled with the concept of seduction. As man evolved over thousands of years, his ability to engage women didn't seem to improve. Hi there. So, hey, how about you and I get out of here?
Hey girls, how's it going?
Good, thanks.
What are you drinking?
Just mineral water.
Do you live in the neighbourhood?
Yeah, we share a flat nearby.
What do you guys do?
Kate's in hospitality and I'm in HR.
Have a good night.
Thanks, see ya. That particular approach, it's called the interview. It's when a guy asks you a long list of questions, but he fails to reveal anything about himself. When his questions run out, he's got nothing left to say, and so the attempted liaison is over. The art of seduction requires a man to know the often subtle rules of engagement. Be confident without being arrogant. Be interesting as well as attentive, but most of all, be original. Because as you've just seen, women are hearing the same tired approaches night after night. But women understand that it's difficult for men. On the one hand, they're expected to make the initial approach. But on the other hand, where and how do they learn the skills to do it? With access to more than 350 million pages of online pornography, teens and young men are resorting to the internet for their education. So how can they possibly develop a healthy understanding of what women are all about when their classroom is in sleazy cyberspace?
Whether you're 16 or 60, if you've never been taught the rules of engagement, you're destined to make the same mistakes for the rest of your life. I mean, what's the point of learning about sex in the classroom if you've never been taught how to get to first base? When it comes to dating and that all-important first impression, women tend to theorise, scrutinise and yes, often criticise the way in which men approach it. And quite often for good reason. So come on, let's hear from some women who are currently at the front line.
Too much hands early on is a bit overkill. A little flirtatious touch is nice. That's a bit of connection, but when it's gropey and things too early on, that's a no-no.
They need to be interested in you, they need to talk to you. And yeah, I think it's actually kind of nice when guys actually play a little bit hard to get.
There is a general aesthetic that sparks your interest, and then you start talking to that person or you approach them or whatever, and it's about whether they are engaging in conversation or are friendly.
Any guy that's, you know, not too full on and basically wanting to take you home that night is somewhat attractive.
Perhaps if men were more perceptive to the body language and those signs, then they'd have a bit more of an idea about whether that person is interested or not.
Okay then, ladies. I think we've established there's plenty of room for improvement. So what about the idea of men going back to school to learn about the art of seduction?
If a guy came and approached me and actually said, oh, I've actually gone and done this course about approaching women, so I'm trying to put it into practice, I'd be like, yeah, great.
It's taking advantage of a situation and hopefully putting you ahead of your competition.
We are a very intricate, crazy species, and they need all the help they can get.
The skills in these areas, they're not magic. You know, it's about skills and a mindset that you learn.
Meet James and Grant, seduction coaches and co-founders of The Natural. They don't see themselves as father figures, but more like mentors, teaching young men to not only better communicate with women, but to learn about themselves in the process. They do this through a unique program where students will learn how to approach a woman in any environment and engage them in interesting conversation.
Well, I think it's clearly obvious that a lot of people are not satisfied with the relationships or with the choice that they have in their lives, both men and women. And, you know, from being around a lot of men who are having difficulty in this area, we came to see that there are patterns of problems here, and that guys are not meeting the women that they want, and women are not being approached by the guys that they want. And we figured that there was a fairly simple bridge that we could help people get across, as long as they had the right tools and the right mentality to go along with it. Yeah, you need to learn specific communication techniques, ways of conversing, do's and don'ts, these kinds of things. But really we're looking at making core and internal changes, and also being able to present yourself without having to wear any masks, because that is ultimately the most attractive thing.
If they're not talking about things that they're passionate about and things that are really significant in their lives, that passion is not going to come through in their expression, and she's going to switch off. And this is a huge problem for guys, because they're always thinking about, what does a woman want me to say, as opposed to saying, okay, what do I actually want to talk about? When we get them to start doing that, they have a lot more fun, and they're also a lot more successful. And so we find a lot of guys that come to us have sort of become sort of disillusioned to the ABCs, and they've tried this, they've tried that, and they come to us to find out, okay, what is really going on, and how can I actually get this sorted out? I want a long-term solution. I want something that's going to change my life, and I know I'm going to have to do some work myself to get it started. I'm not going to give you the complete responsibility. So we actually find a lot of our clients are really, or a lot of people who are interested in what we do, really committed to put their own time in and not just alleviate the responsibility to us.
And to make sure that you guys are
There's an excited sense of anticipation as the seduction coaches outline the skills they'll teach. Then, the students are introduced to their wingman. This is the person who will share their journey over the 12-week seduction course. The student teams are accountable to each other and will be a valuable support during their social missions.
Doing this course, to me, isn't a sign of weakness. It's a way of improving myself and opening up my own possibilities more and more. Much like going to footy training and having as many shots at goal as you can is going to make you kick more accurately.
I think every guy would like to know that when they meet the right girl or a girl they're really attracted to, what are the steps they need to take to progress that to a more serious situation or like a longer term relationship, and how to handle all the different ups and downs that come with that. I think a lot of people are kind of, crawling in the dark, and they're a bit blind about what they should be doing.
We just don't want to make any mistakes. That's really what it comes down to. We want to go over to the girl and we want to romance her, and we want to be, a total Casanova and sweep her off her feet. And, because we don't really know how to do that, and you've basically got movies as a guide or something like that, and it's not always a perfect moment. And sometimes it's kind of, you feel safer not doing anything, and I think that's the common mistake. The common mistake is you just don't do anything because you're afraid it won't work out.
I really want to find that true love, the cliche Romeo and Juliet style love, and hopefully I can find that one day. Growing up, I didn't have much education on how to meet women or even have interactions with women, especially growing up in a Christian or Catholic family. Sex really was a bad thing before marriage, and so with all that jazz, I found it difficult, and I guess it wasn't even inside my life at that time.
So every time you come in contact with somebody, your body language is coming into play, and it's either working to your advantage or it's working against you. And it's vital that you become really, really precisely aware of the way you present to the world and the way you inhabit your own physical space.
During his class on body language, James provides an opportunity for any of his students to demonstrate any problems they might be having during conversations.
Like I would just walk into the group and I would stand pretty close, and then the girl would take a step back and I would just kind of step back slightly as well. Just a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, right. So you start off an interaction at this kind of distance in this culture. It might be closer if it was in other cultures. We're here, we're chatting away, and then as I want to go into my touch escalation, I can lean in like this. So I've opened up the space so she doesn't feel locked in, but I've actually closed the space and I'm starting my touching. If you want to learn how to be a great lover or a great seducer, or a great ladies' man, you need to first be internally validated. And a big part of what we teach guys is how to come to peace with themselves, to be at ease with themselves.
I would love men to approach me in a mature, responsible, genuine way. I don't think that men out there actually know how to approach women?
I think a lot of girls have a really positive attitude towards it because it's really building the kind of man that they want at the end of the day. Ever since I was young, I always felt like, obviously, like an attraction to girls, like a kind of, it's like I was drawn to them, but I didn't know what it was that I was supposed to do once I got there. It's like I was kind of sucked into an orbit. And once I went near them, I was like, what was I supposed to do? Like, you know, in primary school at Fates or anything like that, you know, or on sports days, there'd be a group of girls and you'd gravitate towards them, but you wouldn't know exactly what to do once you got there, so you'd just kind of stand near them. And then, you know, in high school as well, going to parties, and I always felt like I had to come up with excuses to talk to girls or, you know, have a reason and kind of mask that I just really wanted to talk to them.
James was really upfront about what wasn't going to work about me not doing the course. It wasn't a sell. It was literally, you know, a course like this would give me the opportunity to have what I was after, which was, you know, to have choice in relationships and to meet someone that I could really connect with and have the confidence and, I guess, the strength and the vulnerability to do that kind of thing. If I see someone that I really like, I normally feel like a kind of an anxiety about, you know, trying to talk to her in a way that she might like. I've been really kind of focused on making sure that they like me.
We're aware if someone is nervous or unsure, because it's a huge deal to approach a random stranger and say, hey, I kind of like you, or would you like to talk to me for a little while? So I know you have to put yourself out there, but just try and assume that that person is going to be nice and kind to you, because I think generally women are just impressed that a man has approached them.
Even if you become the slickest pickup artist and you know how to say the right lines, do the right moves, and yeah, you may get certain success on certain levels. When that relationship crumbles, when the girl actually sees through and works out, actually, no, you're just a guy who's put on a mask, which inevitably will happen, and you find yourself back at square one, then you're even if you're very successful in that skill, you're setting yourself up for a lifetime of anxiety and failure.
Martin is thrown into the deep end during a class on phone and SMS etiquette. He and his seduction classmates have to be up to speed with this style of follow-up communication.
And, you know, he's a bit more grown up and he gets a girlfriend. It's like totally exciting.
Cool.
Yeah. Do you like Harry Potter?
No, I don't really like Harry Potter.
Obviously, guys don't really ever get taught, you know, how to talk to girls, and a lot of the advice they get is really bad, like just be yourself or be confident. It's like, what does that actually mean? And, you know, for a lot of people that means staying home and playing video games because that's what their self is, or being shy or whatever it is, you know, sticking to the role that they think they're already in. And yeah, I think we also get a lot of bad advice from movies and stuff like that and other media. Like heaps of times I thought that if I just like tell her how I feel, it would make it all better. Like if you just went up to the girl and said, oh, by the way, I'm totally in love with you, or I think you're really great, that they're suddenly going to just go, wow, oh, awesome. Do you want to be my boyfriend? So, yeah, a lot of the advice is not really practical in the real world.